Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome to my video featuring my throwing spikes, which I have made from tent stakes. You're at the We All Juggle Knives channel, by the way. Welcome one and all. This video is for educational and sporting purposes only. So I was looking for some throwing spikes, and I really did not want to pay a lot of money, and I also wanted them to be long enough and heavy enough that they would be easy and fun to throw. So I ended up modifying these tent stakes, which I found on Amazon. I will include a link for your convenience in the text description box if you need some tent stakes. As I said, they're very inexpensive. So you see I have some power tools there, but you don't need power tools. You can just use a hacksaw to cut them and a metal file to make them more pointed if you don't have anything else. Alright, so that's what the tent stakes look like when you get them. They have that loop there, and I just cut that off. They do come pointed, but they can use a little work to become more pointed to stick better. So that is my Dremel 4000. It's really a pretty good little handy tool just for small projects like this. It's got a cutting wheel, it's got grinding attachments, it's got drilling attachments, things like that. Alright, so that's a pretty good tool. I'll include a link to that as well. If you want to pick one of those up, I do recommend it. And that is my work sharp. That is what I used to make these more pointed. Alright, again, you can just use a metal file, but it'll take a lot longer. So yeah, they have crude points already, but I just smoothed them out, and that's just so they stick in the wooden target a lot better. I also used that work sharp to smooth out any sharp edges from where I cut the loop off. Right? And that's also a handheld sharpener and grinder. It can sharpen hatchets, machetes. I'll include a link to that. It's really very useful. Definitely recommend that work sharp. So how do these throw? Well, they're actually a lot of fun. They throw really well. In fact, I am going to roll in the highlight reel of my first throwing session right now. Now, this is no spin throwing. So how are you all doing during these stressful times? I hope you are well, and I hope this video will provide you with just maybe a little bit of distraction, a little bit of entertainment for you. You know, throwing spikes, if you try to buy like throwing spikes for your blade sports or your throwing sports, most of the ones they sell are like tiny and they don't weigh very much, so it's difficult to actually throw them. I think these throwing spikes are just a lot more fun. You can see, well, I don't know if you can see, but they do hit pretty hard. Like you can see it rocking that stump sometimes when they hit, and there's a nice satisfying thunk as well, right? So these are going to be, like spikes like this would be a lot easier for a beginner to learn with. Speaking of beginner, I've only recently started with the no spin stuff because when I first started throwing, I was throwing tomahawks, and you know, when you throw a tomahawk, it rotates, right? So then when I started throwing knives, I would throw them with like the experience from a tomahawk. So I would throw them like single spin. I've done double spin, right? But now from watching YouTube, I've gotten into the no spin, right? I'm still working on trying to throw no spin from farther and farther away, right? That's like my next thing, to try to learn the longer range no spin, which looks very difficult, but I am studying, I am watching some of the master throwers on YouTube, so by watching their videos I will slowly learn the secrets of the longest range no spin. But for now, this is pretty fun. I mean, you're never going to have to like throw a spike to save your life or anything, right? You're not competing with anyone. You're never going to have to do this in combat. So basically, if you have fun with this, you've already won, right? The sole purpose is to have fun. At least that's why I throw the spikes. You know, you got to think, what kind of trouble could you be getting into, you know, otherwise, if you didn't have like just fun kind of stuff like this to keep you occupied. It's kind of relaxing in a way because, well, it's kind of like shooting, actually. Because you have to concentrate so much and focus on the target, all your other problems are going to recede to the background. So throwing is just good, clean fun as far as I'm concerned. Now, as for tips on no-spin throwing, I'm not really an expert on no spin, however, there are a few things that definitely helped me. One thing you have to remember, your pointer finger is super important because that's what's actually aiming your spike or your knife, alright? So be mindful of your pointer finger. Number 2, never rush and never bend your wrist forward, because if you do that, your spike is going to go low, or it'll even go into the ground, right? So yeah, never bend your wrist forward, but you do bend your wrist backwards during your wind-up, and that wind-up is very important. And the last tip would just be try not to distract yourself, try to focus and basically calm your mind. Alright, I hope you are enjoying this video. This throwing is coming to an end. This is the last one. The best for last, perhaps. Alright, well that was fun. I definitely hope you enjoyed this video. In the text description box, I will include the link to the tent stakes if you need some tent stakes, as well as some other throwing supplies like, for example, throwing knives and perhaps some tomahawks that are fun to throw. I'll also include a link to that Dremel and to that work sharp. Those are very useful for small projects like this. If you enjoyed this video, you like cool stuff like this, as well as knife reviews and multi-tool reviews, feel free to subscribe. This has been We All Juggle Knives. I'm out.